Hey guys, it's Mackenzie, your mommy's media medium. Ho, ho, ho. I say ho, ho, ho as if this is the Christmas episode or the episode before Christmas, and it is not. It's the episode after Christmas. So it actually makes no sense that I just said ho, ho, ho. Anyway, how are you guys? I am doing a phantasmic, rific. I don't know. I just made that word up. Anyway, it is Thursday, December 27th of 2017, and this is probably officially the last episode of this year. Can you believe that 2018 is already over? I can't. I swear, like every year, at the end of the year, you're like, oh my God, this year flew by so fast. But while you're in the year, you're like, oh my God, can we hurry up? But yeah, every year I feel like it flies by me and I'm like, what happened? Especially this year, considering for you guys, I did maybe a total of like 4 or 5 months worth of podcasts and a whole 12 months worth of podcasting time. I was really a slacker this year. But, I'm back. I'm here. I'm doing it. I was supposed to do a podcast last week. I swear to you, I was going to do it. But, of course, something came up, but something big came up, and that's the reason why I didn't do it. Turns out that Friday, after I recorded the last podcast, episode 31, I got an email from my job. It still feels funny to say that. I got an email from Shipped headquarters that said that they were going to have a contest. Basically, from the Sunday of December 16th through Monday, December 24th, if you got 25 shops. Now, that means going out to the grocery store and shopping for somebody or delivery onlys. At least I'm hoping it's delivery onlys. I was told it was delivery only, but, whatever. Anyway, so as long as you did 25 of those shops and they were all on time and you did them between this 8-day window, you would get a $200 bonus. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot of hard work, right? 25 shops doesn't sound like a lot of time. But for somebody like me who was only doing it twice a week, that means everything. And I started out on Sunday, and I told you on the last podcast when I was talking about Shipped itself that my area isn't highly saturated in the Shipped market. There are few and far in between where I'll get a lot of shops, and I know or I feel at this point there are more shoppers out there in my area than there are actual people who are shopping. Because as quickly as I don't respond to something, somebody else will pick something up. And that's how the system goes. They offer you something, they give you 60 seconds to claim it, and if you don't, they'll offer it to somebody else. Some days I don't find a problem, it'll just be sitting there. And then there's other days, like I'll tell you what happened on Monday. I was offered something and then it was offered to somebody else. But anyway, so again, it doesn't seem like it's that hard of a work. And I think if you did this full time, it's not that big a deal. 25 shops is nothing. But like I said, I was only doing it 2 days a week. I started on that Sunday and had to actually go out of my zone. And I told you what zones were. It's basically the areas around where you live or whatever. I have 3 zones that are closest to me. And none of those zones, like all day. I went to a spin class that morning. I had myself on the schedule for anything after the spin class, and I got 0 offers. So I ended up having to go into DC again, something that I said I wasn't going to do. But because I was trying to get this $200, I went outside my zone and ended up only getting 2 shops. And one of the shops I was so peeved about because I had to end up actually emailing 2 different people in the customer service, helper's desk for Shipped, because I went to deliver this girl's stuff and she lived in this high-rise apartment that I don't know what was happening, but there was cop cars parked right in the front. You know how these high rises have like parking that you can park for delivery people, I assume, or somebody dropping somebody off where they can just pull in and pull back out instead of trying to find parking in this, hustle and bustle world of like living in the big city. So thankfully there was a parking space right in front of the apartment, but yeah, the cops were blocking all of this little area. And I'm like, you guys couldn't have moved your 3 cars up just a little bit further for somebody else to come in and be able to drop stuff off, but whatever. So yeah, and then I only have to go up one flight of stairs. And I don't do the stairs, of course, I do an elevator, but she's on the fourth floor. You start off in the building on the third floor. No biggie, right? Except for I feel like this apartment complex expanded for like 7 blocks because I walked and walked and walked and walked to get to apartment 35. It was like endless. I felt like I was just continuously walking into a maze. I thought I might get lost, as a matter of fact. But anyway, once I get to her apartment, I hand her groceries. I hit that I delivered it, and it said that it was 5 o'clock. And I was like, okay, I got there right in that window. And then later I get in my car, I'm starting up and I'm going to pick up my last order, and I look and it says that I'm late. And I'm like, I'm late? Excuse me? I hit it at 5 o'clock. As a matter of fact, it was 5 o'clock and 32 seconds. But apparently in the shift system, anything right on that time is late. But like I said, I emailed people because I was like, nah. I only have 3 shops today. One ended up being a promo, and they said that you couldn't do it with the promo, which promos are life in this business. I mean, I had to throw away a couple of different promos just because I'm like, I want to be able to shop and add it to my total and not get a promo. But man, sometimes you can get a promo that's like $16 to $20. And that's on top of you shopping, which, depending on the shop, that might only be $7, but it also could be $10. So that's a $30 shop. And then they might give you a $5 tip. So that's $35 for just an hour of your time. So promos are life and shipped as far as I'm concerned. I love promos. But when I'm trying to do this 25 shops with no promos and get them on time, I can't be bothered with the promos popping up in the system, which they probably shouldn't have done that because I'm sure there's a lot of people who skipped on promos just for that specific fact, unless they had already hit their 25 towards the end and then they started taking those. But anyway, yeah, so I only got 3 shops, and 2 of them were the only 2 that counted on Sunday. And then on Tuesday, I had to cut my day short because I went to get my fillers, which I'll probably talk about next podcast. I'm not going to talk about it today. But I had to cut my day short because of that. And I think that day I only got maybe 4 or 5 shops in. So on Thursday, I had a spin class, and I started early with as far as shopping goes. As a matter of fact, I was like 5 to 10 minutes late to spin class because I took an extra shop that I wasn't going to take, but I'm like, I have to hit this number. So yeah, like every day of the week, I was like, bam, 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 trying to get this 25 shops to the point where on Monday, I put myself on the schedule. I was supposed to do a spin class. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to do a spin class on Saturday. I canceled that. I was supposed to do a spin class on Monday. I canceled that just so I can get this extra $200. And on Sunday night, I put myself on the schedule starting at I think I put it on for 8 because I was like, no, I only have 7 more to go. Actually 6, but because of that one, that I had them change, I was like, no, I have to do 7. And I had that many to go. And I was like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to get up early. I don't want to get up early. I'm not about that life, but for $200 extra, I will be about that life. And I look at my phone. I wake up at 6 o'clock. I look at my phone. There's nothing to be had. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I'll close my eyes for just a few minutes more, and then I'll wake up in a couple of minutes and check it again. I woke up at 6:40. I had 2 offers that they had sent to me. And by the time I got into the system, they were gone. And for the rest of the day, I was like, so upset about those 2 because those 2 would have taken, I would have gotten them out. One was at 8 and one was at 10. I would have been done because my last shop was at 4, I believe. I would have been done 2 hours earlier. As a matter of fact, I went to another zone that it's not as far as going to DC, and now that I know that it's there, I already knew that it was there. I don't know why I say that, but now that I know that it's there, it's more convenient than going to DC, and I think I see a lot more of shops in that area. So on the days that I'm in my own area and I feel like there's nothing going on, I think that's the zone I'll be going to instead of DC because I don't have to worry about paying for parking and all that kind of stuff the way I was doing in DC. In DC, where here, I can go for a shop and, it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to get to a person's house. In DC, I can get there and pick something up and it can take me 30 minutes. And then it's another 45 minutes to get home. It's too much. It's a big hassle. So I probably won't be doing DC for a long time now that I know that there's 4 different zones. And that's what I did. I did 4 different zones on Monday just to make sure that I could get this done. And if you live in my area, I'll break it down for you and maybe you'll understand. I did Gaithersburg, I did North Bethesda, Silver Spring, which is the closest to me, with my Target and my Safeway, which are less than 10 minutes away for both of them. And I've only, since last month, I've only gotten 2 shops to that Target, and that's it. But then there's White Oak, and then there is Rockville. And that's it. And I was all over. I have a app that's tracking my miles because the mileage helps you not have to pay for taxes and all that kind of stuff. So I have a mileage tracker. And if you saw that window, it was just like I was zoom here, over there, bam there, then there. And I was just going and going. I was so tired. The last couple of nights, I've been going to bed so early, except for Christmas Eve. I didn't get to bed until 1 o'clock on Christmas Eve. Santa and his little helper strike again. Yeah, my kid, so spoiled. So spoiled. I went overboard this year. I really did. So I'm probably going to scale back next year. He won't know the difference. And he even said, Santa was really good to me this year. He did a really good job. And that makes me feel good because it's like, oh, that means mommy did a good job. Not daddy. Daddy didn't lift one damn finger, as dads do. I don't know if you follow any of the mom groups on Instagram, if you're a mom, or if you're even not a mom. There's a lot of mom groups that are really, really funny that maybe you wouldn't find comical if you're not a mom or parent. But one that's been circulating around this year, and it circulated around last year, was like, yeah, I can't wait till Christmas morning where my husband gets to see what we bought everybody for Christmas this year. Because I feel like dads do not participate. What's wrong with dads? No, just kidding. I feel like that's always been the way it is. Like, dads are just like, here's the money, go buy stuff. And moms are like, I gotta do everything I can to make sure Christmas is a special, magical time for my kids. At least that's how it is for me. But anyway, yeah, but last night, I know for sure, I went to bed at 9 o'clock and I didn't get up until like 8:30. I am pooped because shopping for somebody else, and I challenge you to do this yourself. Make a list for yourself of 10 to 15 items. 15 will really get you going. And try to shop for yourself, finding those 15 items and nothing else in less than an hour, and get back to your house within that hour's time. Tell me if that isn't hard for you. I challenge you to do this next year, because this is probably when you'll get this next year. And then you'll see how my day was when I had to do 7 shops and they were just sending them to me back to back to back to back to back. I had to drop one because I was just like, there's no way I'm going to make it to this girl in time. And I'd rather be on time for that one than to set myself behind for 2. So, but anyway, I should be getting my extra $200 bonus today, and I'm really excited. Although they did send me an email and it was like, you had 15 shops. And I was like, wait a minute, 15 plus 7 plus 2 only hits 24. Oh my God, I'm 1 shop down. But then I forgot, deliver onlys count towards that too. So anyway, I digress. So yeah, that's why I was supposed to do the podcast on Thursday. Long story long, like I tend to do. But with doing all the ship stuff, I just couldn't dedicate the time. And like I said, I didn't do a spin class because my last spin class was on Thursday, and Saturday and Monday I had to cancel because I had to prioritize if I wanted to work out or if I wanted to get that extra money. And I'm using that extra $200 to, dun, 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 I am going to register for a spin class, which is something I'll talk about. I think I mentioned I was going to talk about it in episode 30, but in the new year, I want to become a spin instructor. And like I said, I haven't really told too many people about it. I've told less than a handful of people, but it's funny. You guys know, if you've been with me since the onset of this podcast, you know that I didn't exercise. I did weightlifting, and I found that easier to do at my own pace in my own house when nobody's looking at me. So if I needed to pause or if I couldn't hold my stamina, it wasn't a big deal. It's just me and my kid. But actually going out to a class and doing stuff with other people, that really challenged me because, you know, I don't like to look like an idiot in front of people. I don't like to not be on par with everybody else. And being in a class with other people, if there's a moment where, you know, you can't keep up anymore, you feel, I don't know, defeated. At least I do. I feel defeated when I'm in a class with other people and they're continuously going and I'm like, oh my God, I got to stop because I feel like I'm going to pass out. But that's how it was in the beginning. And I was like talking about the spin class when I reviewed it a couple episodes ago that, yeah, it's okay. I feel like I'm going to die. She thinks that we're fly girls. We're supposed to remember dance moves. I don't do all that. And then all of a sudden it became like really fun and I looked forward to it every night. So now I'm at this point where I can listen to music and I'm doing movements that I would think would be really cool to do in class. And that's when I realized, okay, I think I like this a little bit more than I let on. And there's been a couple of times that she cycled through some spin instructors that just no one's up to her scale. I'm gonna say that right now. She's crazy. She's wild. I told you if she put her mind to it, she can probably conquer the world. That's the kind of person that she is. But there have been other instructors that she's had that, yeah, you go and you're like, okay, I got a decent workout, but I don't feel like I got a workout. You know what I mean? One guy, we didn't even sweat. I was like, I'm not even gonna go home and take a shower because literally I did nothing. No sweat is dripping, no perspiration. I don't even feel like my heart rate went anywhere. It was horrible. It was so bad, so bad. And apparently he's like traditional spin. Now, I've never done spin in any other setting other than the one that I do at my spin studio. So I don't know how other spin classes are, but apparently he's like traditional. And I'm like, wow, you're not really getting any kind of workout if that's like how traditional spin instructors do stuff. But anyway, she's had one other girl who ended up leaving, and I don't know why she left, but I miss her so much. But she was the only one other than the person who owns the studio that could get a good workout out of me. And that's when I, again, started to like think like, wow, if I can say like this person is no bueno, and at the same time, in that same breath, say I could do it better than they can, I'm not one of those who does that. I'm not a challenger. I'm not a like, ooh, I can do that better than you. That's not who I am. So if I could say that out of my own mouth, it's like, it's because it's something like, I guess, a Freudian slip in the back of my mind where it's like, yeah, it's something that I want to do. So I've been kind of like toying with it back and forth and saying like, well, do I really want to do it and stuff like that. And I'm leaning more towards, yes, it's something that I want to do. And the more and more I think about it, it's something that kind of like brings me joy. So yeah, I am gonna try to become a spin instructor. And I was looking into going to an actual class because you can take spin instructor classes or whatever online. And I had looked into that, but I was like, I want to actually go to where I could be in a setting with other people and they could actually physically show me stuff, even though I feel like after doing my own class, anything is possible. But, I do want to go to a setting where it's like in a classroom type thing where I can take notes and stuff like that. And I couldn't find any in my area. But of course, I see something from my own spin class where she's going to be hosting something. And it's unfortunately going to be while I'm out of town. I'm going to Texas in February for 4 whole weeks. That's a long time. But I'm going to Texas for 4 weeks. And of course, she's doing it right on that weekend. And I was like sad and defeated again until I started looking online and I found another class that is doing something in February. So after I get my paycheck this evening, I'm going to go ahead and sign up because it's on sale for $200. Exactly the money that I won or I guess got for my challenge, which makes me excited. And I'm gonna do spin instructing. My main hiccup with becoming an instructor is the fact that I'm no good in front of like big crowds. And not that I'm thinking that I'll be teaching a class of 30 anytime soon, but it's still one of those things that if I don't know you very well, I still feel uncomfortable. How many times have you guys heard me say like, I can't do a podcast if somebody's in the house. I don't like when people can hear me. One of the main reasons why I didn't do podcasts for a minute was because my husband's friend who stays in our basement, he was there on Tuesdays. And it's like, I don't want him to hear me talking while he's downstairs. And then I would say I'm going to do it on Thursday and then something else would come up. But so that's one of those things that I have to get over, and that's one of those things that in 2019 that I'm going to try to conquer. My main thing is at least first getting certified and then building up my confidence to be able to step in front of a class and say, okay, I want to actually instruct people and teach them how to get their booty in shape, because I'm telling you guys, my booty is on point. And yeah, I mean, I bought clothes from Fabletics 2 years ago, and yeah, that was when I was probably about 10 to 15 pounds heavier, but they're still a size small, and they're falling off of me. Not falling off of me, but you know, when you have something that's supposed to be compression and it's just a little bit looser than what it's supposed to be, I'm continuously having to move up, and now I'm in an extra small, which is like, what? But also at the same time, I hate buying new stuff unless I want to buy new stuff. How many times have I said that about my son? Like, I want to buy you new clothes because they're cute, not because I have to. And that's what I'm having to do, because when I'm using this stuff, my athleisure wear, my spin pants, it's just, they're falling down as I'm trying to work out. But yeah, spin is life. Spin is the cardio that I never knew that I could do, because I don't do cardio. I don't do running. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. And now spin has gotten me to a point where it's like, oh my God, maybe I can do this. Maybe I do have endurance. I didn't know I did. I haven't run since I was in high school. No, not even high school. Middle school. Oh my God. High school, I did nothing. I didn't do band. I didn't do track. I just sat and watched TV and ate mac and cheese. It's no wonder I was almost 150 pounds in sophomore year of high school. Anyway, so yeah, I am going to try to do spin instructing, and I'm going to be paying for that class with my $200 that I got, my little bonus that I got for working for Shipped, and I'm super excited about that. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. You guys are one of the first to know. I've told my mom, I've told my husband, I've told Joanna. That's it. Nobody else knows. And you guys are like family, I guess. You know, you listen to me week to week, and I feel like I could share anything with you. I killed a person. No, just kidding. Anyway, so since this is the New Year's episode, I'm going to do a year-end review, which I didn't get to do last year because I was telling you guys, if you know, I don't think anybody's new here. But if you are new, I said last year around this time, or actually, I don't think I recorded a podcast until like the end of January or something like that. But I was like, it doesn't make sense for me to do a year in review because I really haven't explored anything new. I tried to explore new things, especially because I was doing the podcast, but that was back when I was doing the mostest when it came to this podcast. So I was like doing like studying and doing formats and trying to figure out how I wanted to do things. And I was spending more time on the podcast than I was finding out information and stuff like that. So I couldn't do a year in. And even this year, I didn't get to do as much, but I got to see a lot more than I normally would. So I'm going to do a year in review of like my 5 favorite movies, my 5 favorite TV shows, music, couples, books, and then I'm going to leave it alone because it's 4 o'clock, guys. It's 4:03 as a matter of fact here. I got up this morning and was like, do I record the podcast first and then go to spin and then do some return shopping? Because, you know, it's right after Christmas, you have to do some return shopping. Or do I, you know, do some research, then go to spin, return shopping? So I was trying to figure it out, and I was like, you know what? Instead of rushing myself the way I did last time, because literally I walked out that door the minute I the minute I stopped talking from you guys, I ran, put my shoes on, and was out to spin class, and it was horrible. But anyway, so I didn't want to rush myself today. So I was like, I'm going to do some research. I did absolutely no research. I did nothing. I did some other stuff and got lost. I don't know where I was. And then before I knew it, it was time to go to spin class. So I wrote down a couple of things really quick the way I do. And I guess let's get to it. 30 dang on minutes into the podcast. But I only have 30 more minutes to talk to you, and then I gotta go pick up my son because he is on high alert when it gets dark outside, and he's quick to tell me, it's dark outside, you're late. It's daylight savings. I know, but it's darker than normal, because that's what he tells me. So anyway, episode 32, the end of 2018. Oh my God, I still can't believe that it's here. But anyway, my top 5 movies. Now, you guys know that I said last year I barely got to the movie theater. This year, I got to go to the movies a lot more than previous years, especially right after I had my son. Now, before I had my son, I was at the movies all the time. But when you become a parent and trying to balance, having a kid, somebody watching your kid, my kid was clingy AF, so I could literally never go anywhere. And now that he's in school, I can do things a lot more freely. And you guys remember, for all the old people, for the new people, I did a Movie Maven March back in March of this year, where I did a movie each week, which I think I saw 5 movies, and that was more movies that I saw in all of 2017 in the movie theater. So there you go. So yeah, out of all of the movies that I saw, and I guess I'll run down all the movies that I saw to you so you understand where I'm coming from. We have Love, Simon, Incredibles 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Black Panther, Annihilation, Ready Player One, The Game, Black Klansman, Halloween, Halloween 2018. What is it called? I don't even know. Halloween, I guess Halloween 2? I think it was Halloween 2. I don't know. They confused me with that movie. 8th Grade, A Star is Born, and I think that was it. And then I saw one movie on TV, which is going to be in my honorable mentions because it actually didn't come out in 2018. It came out December 2017, but you might as well say 2018. But anyway, my top 5 goes as this. Number 5, A Star is Born. Lady Gaga, scratch that. Bradley Cooper, oh man. They aged him and they made him sound all rusty and like he had a lot of problems. And I was all about it. Oh my God, Bradley Cooper. I didn't think that I could be any more attracted to him. But add the old man rasp and the aged face.
I think you're beautiful.
And you got me. I don't know what it was. I was just like, what? And then he was singing and it's like, tell me something good. Oh, don't even get me started. Oh my God. I gave myself a flutterby's. Like, seriously, Bradley Cooper, my goodness.
Hey.
What?
I just want to take another look at you.
And just so you know, I was back on that Bradley Cooper way back in the day when he was on Alias. So don't even come at me. Me and Bradley Cooper go back like babies and pacifiers. For real, for real. But anyway, so that was my number 5. Lady Gaga, she blew me away. She had a couple of times where I'm just like, is she acting or is she playing herself? There was a weird, I don't know. Lady Gaga was weird to me in the movie. I was trying to get on board with her character and how she played the character, but her singing was great, phenomenal. And I love the fact that there are going to be people who are introduced to Lady Gaga as an actual singer than ever before. You know, a lot of people are just distracted by all the crazy clothing that she wears, and that takes away from who she is as an actual songstress and as a musician. And I've had to do this with my husband years ago when I first started listening to Lady Gaga, like, what was that, like 2007? I was one of the first, like, what does she call them, monsters? I was one of the first ones that was like all about Lady Gaga. And my husband's, I've told you before, he's an old curmudgeon. He doesn't like anything with music that's current. He didn't like music in the 80s. He doesn't like music in the 90s, 2000s. Oh, but he can get on some Pink Floyd. And it's like, calm down, son. You're 38. You're not like 50. I don't need you acting like you're older than you are. But anyway, he used to give me crap for listening to Lady Gaga. And I'm like, boy, you don't even know. This girl can sing. Like, yes, she has all the pop music and it's my poker face. I get it. That can be distracting. But I've seen live stuff and she can play piano and she can actually sing. She can sing better than a lot of people who quote unquote can sing. So I've had to show him videos of her actually singing and he's like, okay, I'll let her have it. And I know there's a whole bunch of other people out there who probably think that she couldn't sing either and probably still saw the movie and thought maybe somebody did her singing for her. But regardless, I was very excited that there will be other people who understand Lady Gaga as an actual musician who knows how to sing, who knows how to carry a tune, who can actually command an audience, because like that last scene And of course, if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to, ruin it for you. But that last scene is just her face singing, and it's like, it blows you away. But anyway, A Star is Born is my number 5 of my favorite movies of 2018. Number 4, Black Panther. Holla holla. Marvel is my jam. I love Marvel movies. And the fact that they had a black lead character, and Black Panther was one of the top grossing Marvel movies of all time. And it's a black lead, that blew me away. And you guys know I did a review of Black Panther back when I did movie made in March, so I really don't have to go into detail. But yes, I loved Black Panther. I loved the fact that it hit on a couple of different topics, when it comes to being black in America and having black ancestry, going back all the way to Africa and the turmoil that it can produce, between anybody who's of, dark skin. And it brings up all kinds of emotions that, we do have to handle and we do have to confront. And I love that they tried to conquer that while also bringing forth a Marvel superhero that little boys that don't look like the average can look up to and say, hey, he looks just like me. So Black Panther is my number 4. Number 3 is 8th Grade. You guys know that I love my teen coming of age movies. In 8th Grade, so good. It makes you feel so many different things about I guess nostalgia of going back to that time where you're trying to find yourself and try to figure out who you are, but at the same time you're trying to look cool in front of other people. And I can only imagine in this day and age with Snapchat and Instagram and everything is filters and all that kind of stuff, having to deal with the regular teenage angst and throw all of this social media stuff on top of it, how it can just discombobulate you. And watching that movie shows you all of those things. And it was amazing. I really dug it. I had to actually go to the AFI Center because they didn't have it in the regular movie theaters. So 8th Grade was really, really good. And of course, it's higher on my list because I do love teen angsty movies. If it wasn't 8th Grade on that list, it would have been Love, Simon. Oh, a gay teen coming of age movie. It's like, all the things that I need for a teenage drama is in Love, Simon. But 8th Grade just took it a little bit further. And I guess probably because I could, I don't know, maybe I could understand it more because I was a teenage girl at one point. And, I could feel the effects that she was feeling a little bit more than I could as a gay teenager. So maybe that's the reason why 8th Grade made the list and not Love, Simon. My number 2 is another Marvel tale, and it's the Avengers Infinity War. If you want your life to be ruined, go ahead and watch this movie. Because it literally, and again, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, even though it's been out for literally 6 months, guys. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't even know what to tell you. But it ruins so many things for you because your favorite characters bite the dust. And it's but I love him and he blew away. And I love him and he blew away. And then you have Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Oh my God. Yeah, it's everything that you want in a Marvel superhero movie because everybody was in it. Everybody was battling. Everybody had some kind of turmoil that they were trying to figure out. Everybody had some inner demons that they needed to work out. And everybody just got killed. Just kidding. I won't say everybody got killed, but a lot of people got killed. It was really heartbreaking. But yes, Avengers Infinity War was my number 2. And of course, they already released a trailer for the next one. And it's supposed to come out in a couple of months. And I'm so excited. I've never been more excited for a movie, I don't think in a long time. Because, I mean, I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I'm not. Because that's the new movie is going to be the end. That's going to be the end. And of course, they'll do spin-offs and stuff like that. But it's we've been following these characters for the last 20 years. You know what I mean? It broke my heart to watch Logan because it's Wolverine. He's never coming back. So yeah, so after watching all of these different superheroes, it's I'm not ready for it to end, but I know that it has to end, and everybody's getting old and you can't do stunt doubles for the rest of your life, or, you know, whatever. So anyway, yes, I am super excited about the new one, and also at the same time super bummed about the new one. And my number one movie of 2018 is, I hope that sounds like an actual drum roll, because I don't feel like looking for a drum roll sound in post-production. My number one movie was Black Klansman. Yes, Black Klansman. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm not going to give like a movie review here because I don't have enough time. But Black Klansman, the reason why Black Klansman is number one on my list for the year is because I have never, I don't think in my entire life, have ever gone to see a movie and felt every emotion that my mind is capable of feeling. I felt happiness. I felt like, laughter. I laughed. I felt sorrow. I felt embarrassed. I felt anger. I felt sadness. Like all of the emotions that I could ever muster up in my head was felt throughout this movie because it just hit on so many different things. And of course, this one came out towards the end of the summer, so you might have not seen this, or it may not be something that was really on your radar. But if this is something that you haven't seen, you need to see it. It is, quote unquote, a little history lesson, but it gives you a little background into being a black cop back in the 70s with the Ku Klux Klan and this guy who actually infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan being a black man, but only by voice, because he did not sound like what a black man or what a white man would think a black man would sound like, which is so funny. But, I know I've been told that, oh, you don't sound black. And it's like, what does black sound like? Please tell me. I want to be enlightened, Or I've gotten, well, she sounds like she's uppity. Why? Because I don't sound black is why I sound uppity. I've heard that kind of stuff my entire life. So that's why it is one of those things. Like I really felt this movie, having somebody on the phone mistake you for somebody else. And when they see you, it's a completely different story. But yeah, this movie, man, if you haven't seen it, you have to. Like, I believe it was like 98% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a big deal. It's a really big deal to be like certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. There's like maybe 5 movies that have hit that upper like 98 percentile, and Black Klansman's one of them. The other one's Get Out. I think those are the only 2. I don't think anything else has ever been that high before. But yeah, if you can, you should watch Black Klansman. Just be ready to feel all the feels, because literally it's all of the feelings that you could ever have, unless like you have no emotions. And I am one of those people that doesn't cry. I rarely get like emotional about stuff, and I got emotional, especially that last scene in the movie. It's like Niagara Falls. If you get that, you get it. If not, watch Scrooged, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, those were my top 5 movies of 2018. My top 5 shows that I got to binge watch. Now, this is a little different because instead of just saying like, oh, these are the shows that I watched and these are the ones that I like out of the shows that I watched, which makes no sense. I did it more as something that I saw for the first time and I really liked. And I don't even know if I should do a top 5 because I how do I want to do that? I'll just tell you the 5 shows that I actually like binge watched that had me up until 1 o'clock in the morning every night this summer. I told you that was one of the reasons why I think I was in a funk. I was probably like sleep deprived because I started watching shows that I had never gotten to watch, and I just kept watching them and watching them and watching them. But number 5 I put down is Ozark. I never thought I would ever see Jason Bateman's butt in a TV or on the big screen or anything, and Ozark gave it to me. So hands down, one of the best shows on television right now. Ozark is a Netflix original. It's about a guy who's an accountant and does money laundering for a Mexican cartel. I still don't understand what money laundering is, even though he goes through like great lengths to explain it to you the first episode of the show, and I'm still like, I don't get it. And I watched 2 seasons of it and I'm still like, I don't get it. So, so if you want to watch a show about money laundering and maybe you'll understand it, I know I sure as heck still don't understand money laundering, but it's still a really good show. It's very dramatic. Even the way they film it, there's literally like an absence of color that shows you how drained and how dreary this whole setting is supposed to be. Really, really great show. And like I said, anything with Jason Bateman, you know I love me some Jason Bateman. I am all down for. So Ozark is my number 5. Number 4 is Maniac with Jonah Hill and Emma Stone. Now this one actually wasn't a TV show. It was a mini series or a limited series, or they keep reclassifying shows and it's so annoying to me. But Maniac was 10 episodes and I believe that's it. There's not going to be anything else. That's why they call it a limited series. I don't know. But it was very crazy and confusing, and it's set in the future where people are just so disconnected from each other that they have a thing that I can't even remember what the name of it is. I meant to write it down, but it's kind of like Friendster. And you say, you know what? There was this one summer I met this kid at camp and we had such a connection and I loved everything about that person. We were pen pals. You give them information about the person and how they would talk. And then you set up a meeting and a person will come in pretending to be that person that you missed your connection with. So imagine going onto Craigslist. I don't know if you guys know this, but Craigslist had a missed connections section in their layout or whatever. I never really went on it. I just remember there being like a BuzzFeed account or whatever that would show like people talking about their misconnections. But that's basically what it is. So imagine you did your misconnections on Craigslist and you gave it to somebody for them to role play with you that misconnection. Like, isn't that so weird? Just meeting a random stranger to find a way to reconnect with somebody that you can't even connect with anymore. Like, so odd. And people are just like drugging themselves up to forget certain things. I mean, it's a crazy, crazy miniseries. And if you have Netflix, I suggest that you really watch this movie because it's really, really cool. Like, it sucked me in. I really dug just how, I don't know, just like weird and disconnected that I feel like we're gonna get with all of the social media and Instagram and all this kind of stuff. They even had where like if somebody's husband died, you could come in and fill that void that is left by not having a husband for you and your children, and they would pay you. They'd pay your debts off. Like, what? It's so nutty. It's a very nutty thing, and I loved it. And I especially loved the fact that one of the characters that Jonah Hill plays in the movie has he has his hair in twist, and he looks like how I imagine Chicky would look like in 20 years if Chicky still did his little twist that I do to his hair at night. So funny. I'll do a side-by-side comparison at some point so you guys can laugh with me at this. But yes, Maniac is my number 4. Number 3, Atypical. I stumbled upon this one night when I believed that I was watching Maniac, and Atypical kept popping up on my screen like, okay, you have to watch this. You have to watch this. This is a new season. I think it's because the new season came out. And so it just kept popping up on my radar. And it's about a boy who has autism, and he's trying to navigate being in high school, dating. His parents are trying to navigate having an autistic son and him deciding to go out in the world and date. And the mom trying to find her way because her life is always centered around the son, and now he's trying to become more independent. His sister, who's always had to be there for him, her trying to find her independence. It's a whole thing, and it's 2 seasons long, and it's one of those things. Like, at first I was like, I don't know if I like it. I watched an episode, then I watched another episode, and before I knew it, by the 3rd or 4th episode, I was excited to watch another episode. So I really dug Atypical because it was just one of those things where it kind of caught me off guard, where I was like, I don't know if I like it. And then before I knew it, I was in love with it. Number 2 is, oh my God, I messed up. It was supposed to be, see, this is why I didn't want to do a top 5 for TV shows. Because there's another show that I forgot to write down that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a number 2 and a number 1.5. Does that work for you guys? It works for me. Anyway, so number 2, Insecure. I love Issa Rae. You know, I said it in episode 30, 31. I don't know. My friend is pregnant and she's having a daughter, Isadora, and she's going to call her Issa. So I've been calling her Issa Bae because, you know, she's a baby. And yeah, it's because I love Issa Rae. Insecure was another one of those TV shows that everybody was like, you got to watch, you got to watch, you got to watch. And I finally sat down this summer and banged out like all 3, I think it was 3 seasons. Yeah, I banged out all 3 seasons and loved every minute of it. Now, again, I don't know if it's just me when it comes to a lot of different shows, but some shows take me a minute to get onto. I told you this when I was telling you about Brooklyn Nine-Nine being canceled. It was one of those shows that I'm like, I know the funny is there, but I don't get it yet. I don't get it. And then eventually I got it. And same thing with Insecure was like, I know it's there, I just haven't gotten it yet. So I stuck through with it. And again, after watching 2, 3, 4 episodes, it's like, I want to watch more. Now, the reason why Insecure kind of took me off guard is because they say the N-word a lot, a lot. So if you're not secure in hearing the N-word like thrown around like, I don't know, hotcakes, you don't watch it. It's not the show for you. And it is centered around a predominantly black cast. So again, if that's not something that you are, you know, familiar with or comfortable with, you probably wouldn't want to watch it. But everybody should expand their horizons. Okay, guys? Like, don't just watch shows with white people. Don't just watch shows with Asian people. You need to watch shows with an eclectic cast. And sometimes you might just have to watch a show with an all black cast. I mean, there are literally like maybe 4 people of non-black color on this show, but it's great because there is a show with only 4 other people that are not black on the show. I mean, that in and of itself is amazing. And Issa Rae is comedy gold. Her timing is perfection. And I love her little raps and her rhymes, her talking to herself in the mirror. I'm like, oh my God, why is that me? So yeah, you know, I connected with this show on many different levels. And that's why Insecure is my number 2. Yeah, 2. My 1.5 is Barry. Oh, Barry. It took 1 episode of Barry, and Barry is on HBO. Yes, Barry's on HBO, and I was very late to Barry. I didn't watch Barry, of course, until the summer. Again, it's one of those things when I was watching Insecure, every time Insecure would go to a new episode, Barry would show on the side for me, and I'm like, I don't want to watch no Barry. What the heck is Barry? Get out of my face with that. So after Insecure finished with the season, I think it just jumped right into Barry. I didn't have my remote next to me. So it started to play and I was like, okay, I'm interested to see how Bill Hader is going to pull off being a contract killer. Now, I watched John Cusack in Grosse Point Blank over the summer. And I think that's kind of like why I was like, okay, I loved the contract killer comedy thing that, you know, John Cusack did with that. Let me see what Bill Hader's going to do with this. And totally got roped in. I didn't even have to say, oh, 2 episodes in, 3 episodes in. No, like it hooked me. And I am so stoked for season 2. Season 2, I think, is already in production and it's set to air sometime in May. And Bill Hader apparently even won a Golden Globe last year for it. So that's why I'm like, I am so behind on this, but I'm actually glad that I found it on my own, quote unquote, on my own. You know, HBO kept throwing it in my face, but I'm glad that it wasn't something that I saw hype about and then watched it, because I think that's probably what happened with Insecure, where it was like, oh, you have to watch Insecure, you have to watch it. And then I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, I guess I kind of get it, but I'm not really feeling it. And then once you get to know the characters and everything, then you kind of fall in love with the show. But it took me to that point. With Barry, it was like, bam, I was like already in, just because of the tapestry of the story that was being woven with. And I don't want to try to give too much away, even though, like I said, it's a show that's been on for over a year. But Barry is a contract killer. He kills people for a living, and he stumbles upon a acting class when he's trying to get his next mark, and kind of, falls in love with acting, even though he's horrible at it, and half of the people in the class are horrible at it. But he has to create this new life for himself while trying to get out of contract killing. But of course, he's pissed off some people who still want him to do certain things, so he still has to do contract killing, but at the same time he wants to have a normal life. It's comedy gold. It's that dark comedy that I love so deeply, where it's like you feel it and you're like, ooh, that's tragic, but then at the same time you're laughing at it because it's like it's tragically funny, and everybody should find a little bit of laughter even in the most tragic of situations, I feel like, even though that's kind of morbid. But you have to find the funny in things to keep on going. But yeah, Barry, you are my 1.5, because I completely forgot to add you into my system. But the minute I was doing the numbering, it was like, oh my God, I have to have Barry. I have to. And my number 1 show of the year, Superstore. Superstore, I love you so much. Where have you been all my life? Even though you've been on for 4 seasons, where have you been all my life? Okay, so when it comes to Superstore, I've known that Superstore has been on, okay? It has not slipped off my radar. I love America Ferrera. I loved her on Ugly Betty. At times when I'm looking at Jane the Virgin, I'll call it Ugly Betty, which I feel like is really racist because it's like the only 2 Hispanic shows that I've ever watched, and I keep confusing them for each other. That's really bad, Mackenzie. But they're 2 different actresses. That's why I'm like, your brain is totally racist on that one. But anyway, yeah, I love America Ferrera, and I kept saying, okay, it's one of those shows that I know I'll probably like. Again, you hear all the hype, people saying it's funny and whatever, but I never got around to watching it. And there was a point where after I had binged all the shows that I could binge, and then I said, okay, I wasn't binging anymore, but there was one night that I was just like, I need something to watch. I really do. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I was like, you know what? I can finally hit up Superstore. Now, Superstore, again, like I said, has been on my radar. I believe once it was on at my sister's house. My niece might have had it on. Tay, you're going to have to, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you actually watch Superstore or not. But I remember it being on and like kind of laughing at some of the jokes. I didn't actually watch it, but it was like on and you're like, oh, okay, ha 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 ha. Joanna and I went to go get our nails done. I believe it was my birthday of last year, and the place that we were getting our nails done had it on. And again, unless you have captions on at a nail salon, you really can't hear what's going on. But there was a couple of things that I could hear, and I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. Okay, whatever. But I never actually watched it. And as I'm finding with a lot of shows that everybody talks about, you have your Parks and Recs, you have your Community. Those shows, I'll sit and try to watch the first episode, and it doesn't wrap me in. And then it's like, okay, well, I don't find this as funny, so I end up dropping it. You know what I mean? There's certain times, unlike this summer, where I'm like, I don't have time to build up. You know what I mean? I want you to rope me in right away, or I don't feel like watching you. The only reason why I got through Insecure and Atypical was because I'm like, I have time to kill. So, I'll continue on this path. And then eventually I loved it. But with Superstore, I kid you not, first 5 minutes, I'm already laughing. 5 more minutes, I'm still laughing. And then throughout the rest of the episode, I'm like, oh my God, from start to finish, I was laughing. And that never happens, guys. Literally never happens. And this is also why I don't watch new TV shows like right off the bat, because anything that I love, I feel like gets canceled. So I'm glad that I didn't watch this initially when it first came out, because if I had watched it during the first season, literally, I think it would have gotten canceled, because I feel like a death wish for a TV show. Anything I find that's like, oh my God, this is really good, they're going to keep this on for years, immediately gets canceled within the first season. So I'm glad that I didn't watch this when it first came out. But yeah, I couldn't stop watching it, and I finished all 4 seasons. It's actually in its 4th season right now, but I finished all 3 and got up to where the 4th season is right now in 2 weeks. And that's not hard. I mean, it is a 30-minute comedy show, but still, every night I was watching 2 to 3 episodes, if not more. I remember staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning one night because I couldn't stop watching it. It was just so funny. I love Superstore. I'm really bummed out that I'm like caught up because now what I'm going to have to do is pretend like it doesn't exist so that I can get like 4 or 5 episodes built up and then watch them back to back to back again. I don't know what we did before binge watching. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. But yeah, so Superstore is my number one comedy show, my number one TV show, my number one anything show, because like I said, I am not easily roped. And less than 5 minutes into that I was like cackling my little behind off. So any show that can make me do that is a winner in my book. And I guess the honorable mention for that one will go to the Stephen King, J.J. Abrams collaboration, Castle Rock. Castle Rock, again, slow burn. It took forever for it to really get it going. And it was a weekly thing, which is really annoying to me. I feel like if Hulu's going to put out a show, just let me binge watch it. Don't make me wait week to week to week. And it took a minute to get up to where it needed to get up to. And then the final episode, you're like, what? What? So yeah, that was my honorable mention. It's a conundrum wrapped in a mystery. I'll say that for sure. My music, and I'm going to go ahead and try to wrap this up because I've been talking nonstop. My voice was like breaking too. My music is going to be a little bit different because I let Spotify tell me how I listen to music. And I don't know, I got a bone or two to pick with what they said that I listen to. But as far as music goes, Spotify says that my top artists are as follows. Dua Lipa is number 5. Number 4 is Ariana Grande. Number 3 is Post Malone. Number 2 is Maroon 5. And number 1 is Khalid. Yeah, Khalid. I always call him Khalid, and apparently it's Khalid, like DJ. So I'll give it to him with the Khalid thing. I did listen to a lot of Khalid last year. I love me some Khalid. I was not really a big fan of his first album, American Teen. Like literally there's one song, American Teen, that I like from that album. Location, I really dug it in the beginning, but it's not one of those songs that now a year later after I've heard it, I actually want to listen to. It has a good meaning to it. It has a good beat. I don't want to listen to it, which is weird. Young, Dumb, and Broke is also one of those songs that I'm like, okay, it's a decent song, but it's not something, a year down the line that I want to listen to. And that's the song that my husband was like, these people and they just make music and it sounds like they're mumbling. And I was like, I actually kind of like his voice. I just don't particularly like this song. And then he started to release songs on American Dream, which is a follow-up to American Teen. And that's when things really started to get good. He did a collaboration, and I guess the collaboration thing. It's the same thing with SZA, where it's like SZA on her own, I didn't really dig it, but when SZA's featured with somebody, it's so much better. And that's what Khalid did. He started getting featured with Martin Garrix and Ocean. Oh my God, I love that song. You also have On the Way with Black and Ty Dolla $ign, Love Lies with Normani. I put that on my blowout that I had a couple of months ago. Youth with Shawn Mendes, not something I really dig. That's one of the collaborations that I'm like, that could have just not happened. We didn't need that. You have Lovely with Billie Eilish, which Billie Eilish, I will talk about her on another podcast because you gotta listen to some Billie Eilish. Oh my God. But anyway, Silence with Marshmello, Rollin' with Calvin Harris. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. His newest album, Sun City, he reps El Paso more than I rep El Paso. I don't understand. He was only there for a year. I was there for like 16 of my years, and he reps it more than I do. But yeah, Sun City, you have Better, Vertigo. Oh, that's going to be on the next blowout. I know it is. But there's all these great songs, and yes, I will give it to Spotify on this one. Khalid is probably my favorite artist of 2018, hands down. Love that dude. But when it comes to my top songs of 2018, they say I have number 5 as Somebody which I assume is to somebody from Chainsmokers. Number 4 is Remind Me to Forget, which is Kygo featuring Miguel. You know, I love me some Miguel. I love his like loud octave, you know, boys with the falsetto voice. I can't get enough of it. No Tears Left to Cry by Ariana Grande. I had that song on a repeat. I love that song. So I'll let them slide on that one. But my number 2 is I Like It by Cardi B. Really? Out of all the Cardi B songs, I Like It is my number 2? I mean, I do like the song, but I didn't like it like that. I mean, I like dollars, I like diamonds.
I like dollars, I like diamonds, I like stunning, I like shining.
Yes, Cardi, I like all those things too, but I don't think I like this song as my number 2 song of 2018. Kodak Yellow, yeah, I could see that, but I like it? Okay, fine, whatever. And then my number 1 is Jackie Chan. I dug me some damn Jackie Chan, and I'll let them have that one. I don't know if I played that song more than any other song that I've ever played in 2018, but I did love me some She Says She Too Young, Don't Want a Man. I'm surprised I didn't put that on a blowout. Did I put that on a blowout? I don't think. Yeah, by the time I heard that song, I was at the end of the podcast, so I couldn't put it on. But yeah, me and some Jackie Chan. So yeah, I don't know. I think Spotify is a little wrong on that list. I'm not sure. You know, they should know better than me. I mean, because they said that I had listened to Spotify for 8,568 minutes. That sounds like a lot of minutes, like too many minutes. But yeah, you know, Spotify, I'll let you have it. And let me hurry up and wrap this up. My number 1 celebrity couple split, Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson. What went wrong, guys?
I thought you into my life. Look at my mind.
Oh my God, I listened to that song and I want to cry. You guys know I was loving and hating their little cute little back and forth, and it came to an end right before the fall. And I know we all saw it coming, but at the same time, my friend and I were laughing like the minute the news broke that they were breaking up. We're both sending each other like text messages, and she's like, you know, if they can't make it, what hope is there for the rest of us? And of course, you know, we're joking. She's actually, her and her husband are like one of my favorite like real life couples ever, because, you know, I actually know them. I know their personalities. I know that when they're posting something sweet, because they never post anything fake on their social medias at all. So I know when they're posting it, it's something that's actually real. And they're just two people who are very sarcastic and witty, and they mesh very, very well. So it's funny that she would say, like, you know, if they couldn't make it, the rest of us have literally no hope for anything. But yeah, that was one of my saddest celebrity couple breakups, because I mean, I don't know, you hope for people to have that whirlwind romance that they're actually like showing to you is real. And I don't know. I mean, I think it was more of she was trying to get back at Mac Miller. She found somebody who was the opposite of Mac Miller, which, you know, if you've ever been in a relationship where you were the DD all the time, that can really weigh on you. So when you find somebody who's a polar opposite of what you had before, you might rush into things. And I think that's what happened. And then the minute Mac Miller passed away, it's like, okay, now I don't have to flaunt my love, you know, to show him I'm moving on anymore. So I'm cool. You know, I don't think she didn't care about Pete, but I think it was more of like, oh, this is great because this is something different from what I had. And I kind of want to show him that I can move on. And then now he's not there anymore. And it's like, well, crap. All right. Thank you. Next. My favorite celebrity couple of the year are Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. You know, I said I couldn't wait for them to have cute little redheaded mulatto babies, and mulatto is still a derogatory term, but I use it because I'm taking it back. I am so excited for her little pregnancy, her cute little baby bump. I don't know about all this crap that they're talking about her and Kate not getting along. I'm not trying to listen to that trash. All I know is I can't wait to see the royal baby in the spring of 2019 in all its delicious glory. And I guess I'm just going to go ahead and end it on my favorite book, because I've talked for way too long and I got to go pick up my son. I didn't read that many books. Okay, I keep telling you guys that like, oh, I don't want to do too much of the podcast because I want to be able to do more, watch shows, read books. I read 2 books this year, guys. Two books. That's it. 2 books. One of them was very short, very like I got through it very quickly, but it was What a Time to Be Alone by Slumflower, and that'll be something I'm actually going to review in a couple of weeks because I really dug this book. But it's in the self-help section of books. You know, it's not like a novel or anything. And a lot of it is literally like pictures. So you can get through that book really quickly. But I really dug the messages that she had throughout the book. And like I said, I'm going to do a review on the book in the next episode. But I really liked that book. It was something that kept me going back to finish, you know, unlike some books. And the other book that I read is actually a book that's not out for distribution. It's a book that a friend of mine wrote. It's actually not even finished. It's a rough draft. And I'm going to give you a little backstory on this because it's a very funny and ridiculous story. He and he's a male friend of mine. We met when I was 17 and he was 22. And we had a brief flirtation, and we, you know, realized we're probably better off just friends than, you know, anything else. And we carried on a friendship for the next couple of years. Only, do you know when you just have one of those friends that it's a relationship you have with them, like you guys can't get right, you know what I mean? Like there's always some kind of turmoil between you. You're always trying to get underneath each other's skin for some reason or another. That's the relationship he and I have. And we've always had that relationship where it's just like, he's trying to get to me, I'm trying to get to him, but we're still trying to be friends. But it's like, I just want to pick at something. And he did it more times than not to me. He was like the ultimate big brother that I never had, because he would pick on me all the time. Why do you have to wear the striped pants? Why are you wearing your hair like that? Why do you drive that kind of car? Why do I drive that kind of car? Really? You don't have a car. How can you make fun of the kind of car that I drive? But anyway, so he and I, like I said, we've had this tumultuous, you know, friendship for years. And there was a point where he was there for me when a guy that I was seeing had passed away, and I kind of saw him in a different light. I never saw him be a nurturer, and he was a nurturer in that moment. But you know, people go back to their regular ways, and he just started nitpicking on me again, and we ended up getting in an argument. And I don't even know if I asked him if he remembers the argument. I remember it. I don't remember the full like details of it, but I remember us talking about like Americans and versus, you know, different countries. And I've been to different countries. At that point he hadn't, so I was getting a little indignant about it, especially because, you know, sometimes when people are older than you, they have a way of trying to make you feel like they know more. And it's like, but yeah, I mean, I may be younger than you, but at the same time I have experienced a little bit more as far as like going out of the country. Yeah, you can sit and wax wise about things that you hear, but if you've never actually been, you can't really talk about it, can you? So I remember us getting into like a heated discussion about like, you know, how Americans are this and Americans are that, and I'll poo-poo on Americans all day long because we do have our own ishy ways, as well as any other country does. But, you know, I was, I guess, defending myself and defending, I don't know. It was just a whole thing. And he did one of the cardinal sins that you could ever do to me, which is hang up on me. Do not ever, 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 ever hang up the phone on me. And he hung up on me. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And that was back in like 2005 or 2006. And I don't know if after that point he tried to contact me. I'm pretty sure he did. I know I didn't try to contact him because I was just like, I'm done. Like, all we do is nitpick and we fight and we argue. And what are we getting out of this? Nothing. I'm annoyed by you. You're annoyed by me. There's no point in us even, you know, being friends anymore. So a couple of years later, he friends me on Facebook. And I'm like, yeah, so I don't really think that we were ever really good friends. So we can go ahead and go about our ways and not be fake friends on Facebook. I was hardcore. And he was like, well, if that's how you feel, then that's how you feel, which is very, again, two people who just want to get under each other's skin. Like, I could have just said, okay, or just said, you know what, left it alone. I could have just not responded to him. But it's like, I got to give a jab in, and then, well, if that's how you feel, he has to get a jab back in. So that's how it's been. But over the last couple of years, I've been telling you guys that I've been trying to not have an awakening, but you know what I mean? Just like grow a little and see things not as I want to see them, but maybe how other people might see them too. And I've come to the realization that everybody doesn't react to the same stimuli the exact same way. What I might say or do in a situation isn't going to be what somebody else says and does in another situation. Now, that's not saying that what I do is right and what they do is wrong. It is not saying the opposite, that they're right or I'm wrong. There are very, very different degrees of gray that one can find in a situation. Now, there are certain situations where this is right, this is wrong. But there's other ones where it's just like, it all comes down to how you were raised and how you react to things and how you feel about certain things. And are you an anxious person? Are you a hyper person? Are you a person that deals with depression? Are you a person who doesn't and sees the flowers and everything? Everybody's going to react differently to different things. And I felt like, okay, maybe we could try to figure out how to be friends. Maybe we're just two young people who are just being ridiculous to each other, and we're a lot older. I'm 36, he's 41 now. Maybe we could find a common ground as older adults that we couldn't find as, an 18 and a 23-year-old and a 21 and a 26-year-old. So I reached out to him this summer. And we started talking again. He was actually going through a breakup, and I helped him through that breakup, which I felt really good about because, I feel like I do have a good amount of advice to give. And he even said that I was giving a lot of good advice because he would bounce ideas about the relationship off to another friend, and she would, she hated the girl, or the lady, actually. She was an older lady. So she hated her. So everything was always negative, negative, negative. And while I would take his side on some things, there would be some things that I would say, like, devil's advocate. I can understand why she might do that, but at the same time, it doesn't make it right, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we were talking about writing and stuff like that. And he tells me that he wrote a book. And I'm like, I know you did. And he's like, no, really, I did. So I said, I totally want to read it. I have to, after all of these years of not talking, because we literally went, just 2006. And it's 27. So 11 years. We went 11 years, 12 years without talking. After 12 years, I wanted to see what his brain was putting out. And he sent it to me. And during the summer, I literally had no time to myself. You guys know this. I told you I was doing everything with my son, and it was very annoying. And but there was one day I went to go get my hair done. And that was the only time I could have to myself. And I started reading the book. And I read, the first maybe 20 some odd pages, and gave him a critique like I'm some big time editor, like, oh, character development and staging and blah 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 blah, like I knew what I was talking about. And he took it with stride and said, okay, thanks for the feedback, whatever. But during the summer, later that summer, I told you I was watching show after show after show after show. And there came to a point where I was like, I had a day, I do my stuff on Sundays, my womanly things of, washing clothes and cleaning up the house, but I was ahead of schedule. And I was like, I could watch a show, which I've been watching way too much television lately, or I could pick up a book. And I was like, okay, either I can start a new book, or I could go ahead and finish the one that I already started, which was his book. So I was like, okay, hey friend, I am going to read your book, finish it. And he was like, oh God, I'm sorry. And I'm like, don't be sorry. Like, seriously, like you gave it to me to read. And I said I was going to read and I didn't finish it. I just read the first couple of things. And now I feel like I need to finish it. If I'm a good friend, I will finish it. And when I tell you, once I got over that initial hurdle, again, you know me, it's like something has to keep going for a minute before I like really start getting into it. And 4 hours later, I was like dead into this book. I couldn't stop. It was amazing. I had to, fold my laundry and get my son ready for bed and all that kind of junk. And then I went right back to reading it. And then the next day was a Monday, which my son was home. And I let him play on video games because I was like, I gotta finish this book. It was that good. Now, again, like I said, it's a rough draft and there are some plot holes and things that are missing. But overall, the structure of the book and the storyline, just so amazing. And around the same time, Lana Del Rey released a song, which I feel like should have been on my list. I don't know what Spotify was doing. But the Mariners apartment complex ties into how I saw the book. I'm a very visual person. So, of course, when I'm reading the description of people and the details of the scenes around them, I put a picture in my head of what they look like and how it is, the setting and all that kind of stuff. And Lana Del Rey's Mariners apartment complex, together the two, oh my God, melts so deliciously together. And I told him, I'm like, oh my God, because there were times I was asking him questions about the book and he was like, oh, I don't remember that. And I'm like, did you even write the book? Are you just telling me that you wrote this book and it's actually somebody else's work? Because he couldn't remember. But I was like, yeah, this song and the book feel like they go together. It's almost like, I don't want to say destiny, but it was meant that I was supposed to read this book. And then Lana Del Rey released that song within a week. And it was just like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. That is so like tied in together for me. But yeah, man, even for a book that's not finished, a book that has a couple of plot holes, I'm still like totally all about it. And he and I aren't talking again. Isn't it so funny? I'm telling you, he and I just, to the end of time, we're just going to butt heads. And this last time was partially him and partially me being in my feelings. But it's like, I feel like at this age, I don't have to pretend that what people do and say to me don't affect me. And I shouldn't have to hold things in and pretend that things that you do don't affect me. And I told him that. And of course he apologized and, says, he understands. But it's like, at the same time, I need space from that. I need space from somebody that I think, and I don't want to get into the details of it because it's ridiculous, but it's like you should feel what you feel and you should let the people around you know that you feel what you feel and not apologize for it. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I feel like, I do need to take a break from him again for a minute. It's not for forever. I don't think we'll go another 12 years without talking to each other. But yeah, like we just had that kind of relationship. And I think that's just how it's going to be for the end of time. And I'm just going to have to get over it not being anything but that. But, I am who I am. I'm a Pisces. I feel everything times 400. I try to keep it under wraps. But, I'm as crazy gets when I want to be. But yeah, I won't give his name out because I think that's a little weird. I did put him on blast on my Instagram talking about I was reading my friend's book and he was like, yo. So I won't put his name out there, but the book's name is What Now for Whenever. I told him in my last correspondence to him that he needed to really focus on this book because I see great big things coming for him with this book. If he actually finishes it, he will know no bounds. Like I said, I can't even put into words like how I feel about this book. It really caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that to come from him. With him, he was always a reader. He was the first person that was like, you need to read books. And I'm like, I don't need to read no dang books. Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't need to read a book. I told you I didn't read books until literally like maybe 10 years ago. But he was one of the first people to tell me that I needed to read books. He was one of the first people, no, he was the first person to introduce The Hobbit to me. I'm like, yeah, there's some movie called Lord of the Rings coming out. And he was like, yeah, but you have to see The Hobbit. And I was like, what the heck is a Hobbit? And he made me watch this 1970s cartoon Hobbit movie. And I'm like, what in the crap am I watching? But at the same time, I'm thankful that he made me go back and not just like, oh, I'm just watching Lord of the Rings, you know, like I know what I'm looking at. And he's like, nah, B, you got to go back. First, he told me to read the book, and I'm like, I'm not reading the book. You already know I'm not going to read the book. And so he was like, okay, well, we're at least going to watch the stupid 1976 horrible cartoon version of The Hobbit, not the Peter Jackson version. No, literally like a cartoon 70s horrible thing. It's horrible. It's so horrible. Don't watch it. But, you know, you do need that background. And I was glad that, you know, somebody who was older and somewhat wiser than me showed me that. And yeah, that's why I think I'm so blown away by the book, because it's like, I know that person. I know the person who made this, and that makes something that much more special, right? So, but that's it, guys. I've talked a long time. You know I like to talk. Talk. And I don't know why I'm singing this song, so I'm gonna go stop right now. Anyway, and it's dark outside, and my son's gonna give me the nth degree about like why I am now coming for him, and the lights are on, and it's dark outside, and all that kind of stuff. So I gotta go. Other than that, follow me on social media. You know me as Mommy's Media Medium on Instagram. I've been trying to post on a regular. I've been doing a really good job, so go and follow me. I am on Twitter as Miss McKenzie. I'm never on that bee, but I post, you know, every once in a while. Usually when my niece sends me a link to something ridiculous on Twitter, I'm on there for a little bit and I'll post something. Really never on there. And other than that, I bid you adieu. Happy New Year. Enjoy your time. Eat some pinto beans. I think you're supposed to eat pinto beans on New Year's, right? For like the New Year or something. My mom always made us eat beans. I think it's pinto beans. Black beans? Brown beans. I don't know. Eat some beans. Just go to Chipotle, get some beans in your burrito or something, and I think you're set for the new year. Other than that, guys, talk to you next year. Bye.
Mama, I'm talking now. Let's talk. Yes, bye.